Ava's disease story, she said, "A few weeks later I got sick and I was in the hospital for a week. At first I thought it was nothing serious. I was on a leave of absence for like 2 months so I could rest well and get back into shape. But when I got back to work, people noticed that I'd started to lose weight. I didn't mind it, but then I started getting coughs and colds quite easily, which lasted for months. I was also experiencing night sweats, some swollen lymph nodes behind my ears and on my neck, as well as prolonged fever. I knew something was going wrong."
You can't scratch or spread HIV from hugging someone, using the same towel, or sharing the same glass. It's very rare to get HIV from a blood transfusion. The U.S. blood supply is carefully tested. However, you can spread the disease from having unprotected sex, sharing needles, or getting a tattoo from unsterilized equipment. Some people don't show any signs of HIV for years after being infected. Many people have symptoms within 10 days to a few weeks after infection. About 50,000 people in the U.S. get HIV each year, and almost 14,000 people with AIDS die each year. Anyone can get HIV, men, women, and children, people who are gay or straight.
HIV's disease story all started when scientists identified a type of chimpanzee in Central Africa as the source of HIV infections in humans. The chimpanzee version of the immunodeficiency virus SIV most likely was transmitted to humans and mutated into HIV when humans hunted these chimpanzees for their meat and came into contact with their infected blood. Over decades, the virus slowly spread across Africa and later into other parts of the world. The virus has existed in the United States since at least the mid to late 1970s. Since the 1980s, many people have been affected with AIDS caused by the virus HIV. According to this graph, the rates of HIV and AIDS diagnoses are higher in the South. Disease diagnostic. HIV can only enter certain cells if it finds the right cells by special proteins called receptors. Receptors sit on the outside of cells to receive messages to transmit them into the cell. HIV grabs onto cells that have the receptor called CD4. Cells with CD4 receptors are an important part of the body's system for fighting all diseases. HIV gradually destroys these cells and cripples the immune system. CD4 isn't the only protein involved. CCR5 protein is a co-receptor and works with CD4. CCR5 opens the door to allow HIV to enter the cell. This diagram shows when HIV infects a cell, it first attaches to and infuses with the host cell. Then the viral RNA is converted into DNA and the virus uses the host cell's machinery to replicate itself during the process called reverse transcription. The new copies of HIV then leave the host cell and move on and to infect other cells. There is currently no cure for HIV/AIDS to this day. However, medicines prevent HIV from multiplying, which reduces the amount of HIV virus within the body. Having less HIV in the body gives the immune system a chance to recover. Even though there is still HIV in the body, the immune system is strong enough to fight off infections and certain HIV-related cancers. By reducing the amount of HIV virus that is within the body also reduces the risk of HIV transmission.